proof of the pudding is in the eating. I don't know if that's a American or British saying. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we were mentioning the value of chanting transcendental sound vibration in order to become happy. Mantra, the definition of mantra, well, it really distracts us from the source of our anxiety. This material world is a problematic place, no matter how you cut it. Some people have less problems, some people have more problems, but everybody has their story. Krishna summarizes, he says, Abrahma bhuvana loka punar arvitu arjuna mamopete tikuntiya punar janmana vidyate. He says, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But then the positive comes in, kicks in. But punar janmana vidyate, one who attains to my abode, O Arjuna, never takes birth again. So the material world it's a problematic place, even if you're on vacation in Hawaii or something. Yeah, there's sunburn, there's there's traffic, someone steals your wallet. I mean, the list goes on and on. So therefore we're in anxiety because that's the nature of this world. Actually, it's created like that to give us an impetus to go home. Like a prisoner lives under difficult conditions, he doesn't want to stay there forever, so he becomes a model prisoner and they let him out. So the material world has its purpose. But there's a way to get away from it all and not be in touch with that anxiety, just to let go. It's just a question of letting go and grabbing onto something more positive. Just like, where was I? I was in Sri Lanka a few years ago. Remember the tsunami? That big tsunami? It affected Indonesia and so many places. So one of the places that was most affected was Sri Lanka. There was actually a war going on between the government and the Tamil Tigers. That tsunami just, wiped out entire coastlines. About 3/4 of the coastline of Sri Lanka was wiped out. Tens of thousands of people lost their lives. So when I heard about that, I decided to go there and try to help out as best I could. One of our programs in Krishna consciousness is something very practical. It's food distribution. We have a program called Food for Life, that people who are in difficult situations, down by the train station or poor part of town, devotees cook and they go down, they distribute some free food to the people. Not only do they get their hunger alleviated, but there's a spiritual value to that food as well because it's offered to Krishna. So it's a blessing. So even if a person in such a difficult situation, they can make some spiritual progress. So we cooked up tons of what we call prasadam. Prasadam means like mercy, both from the material and spiritual point of view. We cooked tons, and we traveled along that coastline, distributing prasadam. The government chipped in. They gave us army trucks and these army kitchens and so forth. And we crossed the line. We went into where the Tamil Tigers were. It was such a difficult situation that the war stopped. It was suspended, and we were feeding both sides. I said, why is there a war then? You guys are all part of one country. We're feeding both of you. You're all human beings. You all seem like nice people. Why are you fighting? A lack of spiritual vision that actually on the spiritual platform we're all equal. We may have different bodies, different languages, different clothes, but essentially we're all part of the family of God. We have one creator, so we're all brothers and sisters. They don't want to listen. War is such a heavy thing. But anyway, while we were there, we were crisscrossing the battle lines and distributing prasadam to all of these different people. Also, we were treating the wounded, I have no medical experience, but because there was no doctors there, people who needed help, I went online. How to fix a broken bone, how to stitch up a wound, how to deal with pneumonia. We were the only ones there. I mean, other relief organizations, but we were really going across the battle lines. And giving also a lot of, help to people in the form of being like psychiatrists. People who are just mad with the trauma. So our program worked. We gave people prasadam, and we gave them this mantra: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. The prasadam, was food for the body, and the mantra was food for the soul. Such a traumatic situation. But I remember one time we were traveling downtown somewhere, and there was, because it was just a week after the tsunami, things were not together. There was an electric wire which had fallen from a telephone pole. And one teenage boy, just for whatever reason, he picked up that live wire. And that wire was throwing him around everywhere, like a piece of spaghetti. Just throwing him around. So I didn't know what to do. Do you touch someone in that? I said, let go, let go. Let go of the wire, let go of the wire. So somehow he got the strength, whatever, to let go. Because usually you're in a situation where the current is so strong you can't. Somehow he got loose. And then he got up and he walked away. He was traumatized. I was thinking, because I try to see the world through the eyes of ancient teachings, through Shastra. We call it Shastra, through the wisdom of the Vedas, the wisdom of the Gita, whatever, Upanishads. So I thought, how can I use that? I thought, yeah, that's life. We're attached to so many things which are actually causing us suffering, isn't it? We're drinking, we're taking drugs, immoral activities, spending our lifetime in frivolous activity, movies. Okay, some movies are educational documentaries. Some just fantasy. Spending our life living in some fantasy that doesn't exist. You can't buy back even 1 second of human life for all the gold in the world. And human life is so valuable because only in the human form of life can you become self-realized. So I was thinking, we're so attached, but these things are actually not bringing us the happiness that we want. And what's more, they're giving us so much stress and so much anxiety, right? People drink, they have a big party, woo! The next morning, they have a hangover, it lasts the whole day, right? Wong, 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 your head is like this. The things which we think are the source of pleasure are actually bringing us so much anxiety. And even if you're doing good things, you're stuck in traffic. So what to do? You have to get detached a little bit. You have to let go. You have to become a little detached from the material world, even if it's just for 15 minutes. I started my spiritual life with Mahesh Yogi's transcendental meditation. I actually was an instructor for many years. They even had me teaching it to the Marines, because, many of the Marines were like the trauma of war. So we started that way. The concept was good. You detach yourself just for a little while from the scenario of material life, and you go within. You detach yourself. Let go of the wire, that electric wire. You let go, and you go within, and you become calm, and you become peaceful. Meditation is very valuable like that. And this, it's a little difficult, as you know, if you've practiced meditation or yoga, it's difficult to control the mind. Because when you're sitting there and you're trying to detach yourself from all these worldly things which are the source of stress and anxiety, your mind keeps going back to those things. Like Arjuna says to Krishna, controlling my mind is more difficult than controlling the wind. And it's true, any class of transcendentalists, because yoga is centered around the mind, controlling the mind and using the mind to go deeper. It's very hard to control the mind, especially when you're trying to meditate on nothing. Because there's no such thing as a void, actually, in this world. But even to fix yourself on something divine, like a picture of Ram, a picture of Krishna, a picture of Saraswati or Lakshmi or whatever, it's difficult. So this process is recommended because it's easy to control the mind through sound. When you're listening to your favorite group, right? A new CD comes out, you're totally absorbed. You're not thinking of anything else because sound is so powerful. So in yoga, they use sound to control the mind. Just think how powerful sound is. You're driving in your car, you turn on the radio, you're just in a neutral kind of mood, and some blues comes on. Somebody's playing the blues or singing the blues. She left me all alone, took all my money, and now she's with him. So it happened to me too. Right? So, and then you just by the sound entering your ear, it goes to your heart. Then you turn the dial, right? And then you come to a happy song. Like John Lennon said, take a sad song and make it better. You take the sad song, you make it better. You turn it, and there's some song that comes up. I don't know any of the songs today because I just listened to one song. But you take a song like that. Your consciousness is affected by sound. Then you turn a little further, and there's some, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I don't know, you're Clinton or Trump, and whatever's being said makes you angry. In a moment of just a little bit of time, your consciousness is totally affected by sound. So therefore, yogis and rishis, they generally live in seclusion. They don't have to listen to all the chatter of this world. And they can just hear divine sounds, which don't degrade our consciousness, but elevate our consciousness. That's why, as bhakti yogis, we always carry this set of beads. You can see, we have these beads. When I first got these beads 45 years ago, they were white as snow and very rough. But now you can see they're a dark color and they're shiny like glass. Because wherever I go, I always have my hand in the bag, and I'm always chanting that divine mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Not loudly, so to distract anyone, but usually like this. I'm on the plane. One man said to me today, "Sir, is there something wrong with your hand? Is that a bandage?" I said, "No, these are my meditation beads." He was a Catholic. He said, "Oh, I can relate to that. I have my rosary." Pulled out his rosary. So the idea being that this sound also affects our consciousness, but in a very positive way. It elevates us beyond all the stress of. You're detached by meditating naturally, but you connect to something higher by chanting. It's like the negative and the positive combined. Right? You're detached and you become attached to something greater by chanting. One man said the other day, "Sir, I was observing you during the flight. You smiled the whole way." Flying is such a distress for me. Why? I said, "Well, I've got this mantra, sir." "What's a mantra?" He didn't know anything about any spiritual life. We stopped at the baggage and we talked for an hour and a half. "Can you teach me that mantra? Hare Krishna, Hare." He's a southerner. Krishna, Krishna, Hare. We're still in communication. Because it works. So in this way you can go through life without being entangled, without experiencing that distress, which is so much a source of unwellness, of disease and suffering. Just like Jesus, going back to my Catholic upbringing, remember, Jesus said to be in this world but not of this world. Could never figure that out. How do you be in the world but not of the world? And my yogi friend in Muktinath, he also said something similar. He said, like the lotus flower. He said the lotus flower is in the lake because the stem of the lotus flower goes into the mud. So technically it's in the mud, the muck. But by the nature of divine's arrangement, that lotus flower is always a little bit above the water. You've seen lotus, not like lilies. Lilies are in the water, but an actual lotus flower, blue, pink. I saw a black lotus one time. The lotus, it's always a little, it's in the water, but it's above the water. So how to be in this world, but not affected by the comings and goings and, everything that's kind of happening, but still be here, but not here. How to do that? Through mantra meditation. It can be done silently on meditation beads, or it can be done by singing with musical instruments, mridanga, harmonium, and kartals like this. And this way one can, whenever the need is there, and just driving here I was in distress. I was thinking, America, the land of opportunity, and the roads between where I was at the JFK and coming here, the roads were terrible. I was thinking the roads are much better in France or in Germany. It was a stressful ride, bumping and traffic, and three motorcycle guys, boom, they zoomed past us. And I said to Ram Vijay, you watch. Those guys are going to have an accident. And 5 minutes later, we came across one motorcycle, spun out on the ground, and the guy lying against the barrier. And listen, there he goes. So even if you're a really good guy and you do everything right, you still live with the sirens, you still see these things, you still think. So what to do? How to remain a little bit aloof for some sanity so you can think about higher things. You learn this mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Yeah, but I don't know what it means, and it's part of a foreign culture, and what does that have to do with me? What about pizza? Pizza was not invented in New York for all the pizza parlors. Yeah. Rome, Italia, prego, italiano, siamo le missionelle, viaggiamo al mondo. Do you speak Italian? No. Okay. Pizza? What about many of the vaccinations? They were invented they were discovered by physicians in other countries, in France. Isn't that correct? France has the source of many of the vaccines. You don't say, it's French, I'm not going to take it. It's Italian, I'm not going to eat pizza. If the government in this country closed down all the pizza parlors because they weren't American, you'd have a revolution. So if something comes from another country, but it makes you a better person, why not? That's America, actually. America is a melting pot of different cultures and peoples and civilizations. So this is a place where principles like this can be best understood and practiced. The sun rises in the east, and it comes to America. You don't think, here's a Chinese sun. It's just as much your sun as anyone else's. So this philosophy is not actually Indian. Kuluk Prem Dan Harinam Shankirtan. It comes from a transcendental abode. It comes from the spiritual world. It's meant for all peoples. It's not Indian. These are universal truths. You'll find them in the Quran. You'll find them in the Lotus Sutras. You'll find them in Sufism. You'll find them to a greater or lesser degree. But here they're explained quite clearly, and there's a practice by which you can realize these concepts. And that's the chanting. So Mayapurs asked me to chant. So I'm not a good singer. I'm not a musician. And they gave me this old harmonium from 1929. And it doesn't have a changeable keyboard, but they're bringing me a better harmonium later this afternoon. But we'll practice a little bit of the chanting just to see how it does bring relief from stress and anxiety. And it gives us something positive in this place. It gives us a taste of transcendence. It gives us a little bit of an idea, a glimpse, a window you could say to the spiritual world. So please, everyone can repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, you all want to be better, right? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
We say in Russian, Spasibo Большое. I have Russian disciples out there. Oh.